Hello everyone, welcome to JSP Ambiance Luxury. My name is Jenny and I am the owner and creator of JSP Ambiance Luxury. Today is our segment called The Strength of a Woman. Before I continue, let me remind you, women, ladies, girls, wives, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, that we are the finest of all God's creation is a statement of fact. Today we're going to talk about adoption. We're going to talk about adoption today. So what prompted this topic today is I had a discussion with one of my friends back home in Africa. She's been married for a long time and she doesn't have any child. She is in an abusive relationship. Her marriage is an abusive marriage. She doesn't want to come out. Her reason being that she doesn't have any child. She said, Jane, if I come out of my marriage, if I leave my husband, I don't have a child. What did I gain by marrying this man? What did I gain? What was the usefulness of my marriage? And her husband is not in the country. Her husband is in another country. But when he comes back like once a year. When he comes back, is a war. Is a war in her house. The men will be beating her. The family will be beating her. They'll call her childless. They call her, that she was a prostitute, that she ate up all the children in her womb. I don't know how you do that. They call her that she's a witch. They said that she killed all the babies and she removed her womb, and there's no name that they haven't called this lady. Yet she stays in the relationship. So when I was talking to her, or when she was narrating everything that is going on in the relationship, I gave her some advice. So the advice I gave her is what I want to make public to us. I know a lot of us in the Western world already know all of this, what I'm going to be sharing this morning. But I wanted to bring some things to her attention. That for the fact that you are not married does not mean you have to be in an abusive relationship. So my sisters from back home, my sisters in Africa, I'm going to be talking about 3 ways of having children. In case you are married and you don't have children, or in case you are over 40, 50 years old and you are not married and you don't have children, and you know that childbearing age is almost like against you. So there are things that we're going to be talking about today that if it relates with you, or if you can relate with it, or if you are capable of going into this process, there's no harm in trial. So number 1 process of having a child is called IVF. That is in vitro fertilization. So what is in vitro fertilization? In vitro fertilization is assisted reproductive technology procedure in which a woman's eggs are fertilized by a sperm in the lab or in a lab instead of inside the fallopian tube. So a woman's egg is fertilized in a lab instead of inside her body. I think when it's fertilized and they put it inside her body. So in the Western world, in America or other countries, it might be people can afford it, but some of our sisters in Africa might not be able to afford it because it's really, really expensive. I know one of somebody who got it done. She paid $30,000, and even at that, it was a tug of war. So you can look into that. If you are capable of doing that, you can look into doing IVF. Number 2 is surrogacy. Surrogacy is an arrangement in which a woman comes and delivers a child for another person or another couple. So if you and your husband want to get somebody who agrees to have your husband's sperm inside of her to have a child for both of you. Americans, they do it. Most of these celebrities that don't want to stretch their stomach, they do it. It's an arrangement that you have to pay that person. When the baby is delivered, the baby is taken away from the woman because it's like a transaction. So they do that. I don't know how expensive that will be. And I know there is this stigma that in Africa, if your family members or your in-laws know that somebody is carrying your baby, they'll be like, oh my goodness, she's a witch. How can she not have her own children? She let somebody else have her own children for her. Now, wow, she's a witch. She's a wizard. There's no name that they will not call you. So That's something else that you should consider if you want to do surrogacy. Number three, which is very common, is adoption. Adopting a child from an orphanage, adopting a child from the village, giving life to a child who is homeless, giving a child to that child, to giving a life to that child in the village. So you see, gone are the days when they say that if you cannot conceive, then you are motherless or you are childless. I think is a better word. You are childless if you cannot conceive for whatever reason that you couldn't conceive. Don't beat yourself down. Don't make yourself feel that you are inferior or have low self-esteem about yourself because you cannot conceive. The Bible says that no man receive a thing except it's given from above. No man receive anything except it's given from above. For the fact that you don't have a child does not mean you can't welcome a child into your home. I remember a story that my sister-in-law told me. She said that she has a friend who got married for a long time. Again, the husband is not in the country. For over 10 years, she couldn't conceive. The husband has been coming back home and she couldn't conceive. Rumor had it that the husband has a family where he is staying in Europe. So the woman, since she couldn't get a visa to go to Europe and she's working in Nigeria, couldn't have a child, she was advised to go and adopt. You see what she did? She went and adopted 2 children. What she did was she divorced her husband because, again, the family members were calling her barren. The family members were saying that she's a witch, that she ate up all the children in her womb. She went and adopted and divorced her husband. Now, when she comes back home, she has a nice job. When she comes back home, she has children to call her, mommy, welcome, mommy, welcome. When she gets home, she has children she cooks with. She has children she helps with their homework. She has children that they lay on her chest, they play. So woman, my sisters, don't beat yourself up. Go and see how you can adopt a child. Go and see the procedure of adopting a child. There are children that need homes. There are children that need a loving arm. There are children that need a mother. There are children that need a loving family. Don't beat your chest up. Don't kill yourself because you cannot conceive. Don't say, oh my goodness, my world has come to an end. Oh, that maybe witches and wizards took out all the children in your womb. There's no witch. As long as you're a child of God, there is no witch, there is no wizard that can go into your stomach, into your womb to remove any baby. The Bible says every good and perfect gift cometh from above. It's God that give it. It's God that give it. Don't kill yourself. That was what I told my girlfriend. I told her, if you want to stay in that marriage, stay in that marriage. But what I will not want you to do is to stay in an abusive relationship. And don't let anybody tell you that you are worthless because you can't conceive. Don't let anybody tell you that you are not a woman because you cannot conceive. Don't beat yourself down because you cannot conceive. You can adopt a child. You can go to the village and look at those your uncle's children, your auntie's children. Take one of them. Start paying their school fees. Take one of them as your child. Start raising that child up. I have a friend who did it here. She took her brother's son and raised him up. Now the boy is a doctor in England. Don't say because I can't have a child or I couldn't conceive, then that makes you less than a human. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And let me remind you of this scripture. The Bible says that the Lord maketh all things beautiful in his time. He makes all things beautiful in his time. The timing of the Lord is different from our own timing. If you can't conceive, does not mean you will not conceive. If you cannot conceive, does not mean you cannot have a child of your own. It does not mean, and sometimes we beat ourselves up so much because we cannot conceive. You don't know the reason why you could not conceive. It might not be because of you. It might not be you. You might not be the problem. It might be your husband. It might be that your husband has low sperm count. I remember of somebody who was married for years. People called her all sort of names. People said, oh, she's a witch, she's all of those names. She and her husband, they went to the hospital. They did run some tests. Come to find out that the husband has low sperm count. The husband had low sperm count. But all this time, the in-laws have been calling her barren. The in-laws have been calling her stupid. The in-laws have been calling her witch. The in-laws have been calling her that she was a prostitute, that she removed all the babies from her stomach, that she ate up all her children in the womb. That's what the in-laws were calling her. Do you know that that the husband was a problem? The reason why she could not conceive, that it was the husband. When the husband was treated, guess what? Instead of impregnating the wife, he went outside to impregnate another woman when he was treated. So if your husband is saying, oh, you are barren, does he have a child somewhere? Has he impregnated all those women that he has been messing with? If he hasn't impregnated them, 9 out of 10 could be that he is a problem. It could be that he is a problem. Even if he has children outside, still look for a way of adopting a child. Don't stay in that abusive relationship because you cannot conceive. If you want to stay there because you want to be married, stay because you want to be married. But don't stay in that relationship because that man is abusing you, because you cannot conceive, because you cannot have a child. My dear, you can come out, adopt a child, start giving life to a child, so that when you get old, when you are older, you can have somebody who will be there for you. You can have children who will be there for you. You can have your own son, your own daughter who will be there for you. I remember a lady who could not conceive. She went and adopted a son. Right now, the son is almost done. I think he's done with high school. Very handsome son. She took that son from an orphanage home, adopted that child from an orphanage home, and gave life to that child. Handsome son. Handsome. So women, my sisters, especially my sisters from Africa, start thinking about how you can adopt a child. If you cannot get married, or you're married, you don't have a child, see how you can adopt a child. Don't sit down and beat yourself up because the Lord has not given you a child. Even me, I said that when my children are out of the house, I'm going to adopt a child because I want to give life to another baby. Because I know growing up, I was a housemaid. I was treated badly. I was treated like I was not a human being. So I don't want any child to go through that. So if I have to give life to one child that is going through hell, I think my mission on earth will be completed. I will see you next time. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. And don't forget that the Lord is the strength of a woman. Nobody is going to love you more than you love yourself. I will see you next time. And my website is www.jspambianceluxury.com. Go and support your girl. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and also give my channel a thumbs up. I will see you next time. Take care of yourself. Bye.